Welcome back to Star Wars Minute. It's the daily podcast where we analyze, scrutinize, and on this job, 40% of the crew dies. The Star Wars movies 1 minute at a time. I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
Featuring Alex Robinson from AlexRobinson.fun.
Introducing Patrick Cotnoir from the George Lucas Talk Show and at Patrick Cotnoir on Twitter.
And also Connor Ratliff of at Connor Ratliff on Twitter.com.
Thanks, guys, for coming back, closing out the week with us.
Of course.
Of course. Glad to be back.
I really did love it. You guys have just made me remember that I really loved it as a kid. I've said this before, but when no offense to Kenny Baker, but whenever R2-D2 was introduced as R2-D2, which is mainly the holiday special, one or two other spots, I really did like that because it made me feel magic.
Was it only R2 they did that with? Did they ever do that with 3PO or Chewbacca or any other costume people?
You wonder if that's because maybe Kenny wasn't in,
Kenny
like
Baker
Anthony
wasn't
Daniels was like, absolutely not. You cannot say that for me.
Right. Well, because it was probably the robot, right? It was the remote controlled thing. They didn't need a walking around R2. They just needed I just have him go across the screen and spin his head around. And
we solved it. Looks like we solved it.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. Good
All right.
Star Wars Minute.
All kinds of problems getting solved this week. It's like Columbo. But the minute we're going to solve, the problem we're going to solve is minute 40. Say 40% of the crew, minute 40. This is 40. Here we go. It starts with destroying a mountain, and it ends with Beckett letting Han know they're going to kill us. Who? Crimson Dawn.
Who?
Crimson Dawn.
Crimson Dawn.
I wonder if any relation to Prairie Dawn.
Oh, there we go. From that comedy variety show planet.
Well, while we're mentioning Crimson Dawn, I wrote down 4 things it sounded like to me. It sounded like a lady wrestler.
Okay.
It sounded like a cocktail. A video game, or a color swatch you would get at the Home Depot.
And
we're either going to do the
we're mentioning Prairie Dawn, I like her little dress that she wears.
Yes.
Could also be a prequel to Crimson Tide, or a sequel, or a squeakquel.
Or a squeakquel.
Crimson Morning. This is the prequel to Crimson Morning.
Well, it could also be a sequel, prequel, sidequel to Red Dawn. Crimson Dawn, slightly different. Or a joint. I'm always in the market for joint sequels. Let's give this one can't support a sequel on its own. This one can't. Let's put them together. Crimson Tide and Red Dawn sequel, Crimson Dawn.
Also, sounds like it'd be pretty easy to do some marketing tie-ins with various cleaning products. Crimson Tide for your laundry needs. Was it the one before? Was Prairie Dawn, Crimson Dawn, Crimson Tide. You just go down the whole cleaning aisle with various movie tie-ins.
Crimson
Windex.
Crimson
PM
Crest.
PM Dawn to do the music.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about that explosion that kicks things off. How about that? We love that.
It looks so cool, guys. Doesn't it?
That blowed up real good.
It is.
One thing I think is really cool about it is that I think calling it an explosion is not quite right, because it basically seems like there's kind of like a force field that expands and vaporizes everything in it, and then just like disappears, and then everything else just kind of like if there's no debris shooting out at them afterwards. It's a very neat, clean way to do something like that.
And then it sort of turns into a little black hole almost. Like,
it kind of like,
just like, I'm going frame by frame through it. It's guys, I got nothing else to say besides it's cool. That's all I want to say.
It is.
Do we think this is actual footage from a location? Because it looks so good, and it looks like it might be in the Alps or something like that, It's or
funny.
Do you know if this is just pure CG?
It's funny that you asked that, because to me, I wrote down, like, would it change your mind to know that this was a practical effect? Because the idea that they would blow up a mountain like that just for a dumb like movie just seems so horrifying that like they would never do that, would they? And I don't know.
How would you feel about it? Because there's a part of me, I understand that it's bad and they should not do that. But there's a part of me that's like, man, that's cool.
Well, what if it was like they were doing it anyway? Like they were going to
a mountain that was a mountain that was already scheduled for destruction.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Lucasfilm and Disney like found out that they were going to do like some like fracking company was going to do like deep ore mining, and they're like, we're going to destroy this mountain in the Appalachians pretty soon. And they're like, can we film it? And we'll use that footage.
What I love about that is that, like, as if that is totally like, oh, well, that totally lets you off the hook morally. If you're working with people who are fracking and blowing up mountains, then that's cool. Like,
we're not doing it; they're doing it. We just happen to film. We're making art out of destruction, so that's morally we're fine.
Yeah.
We're an offset. We're offsetting. It's like a carbon offset kind of thing where it's like an evil thing was going to happen, and we made a piece of art out of it, so that kind of makes it a little bit less evil.
Yeah.
It's kind of heroic in a way, because you're kind of preserving the last moments of this mountain that would normally probably been forgotten and blown up and totally forgotten about. So in a way, like Lucasfilm was kind of...
In a way.
Would you feel different? Would you feel different if you found out that this was a practical effect done with miniatures?
No.
It wouldn't make you feel different if this thing that you think it was probably done digitally with CGI, if you found out that this scene that we just watched was done with models in a studio with miniatures.
Yeah, I guess that would scare me in a way, because if they had technology to actually be able to do that, that would be pretty terrifying.
I don't think we wouldn't just be impressed at how good the model work was.
Well, but I mean, the fact that it had that force field which vaporized everything, like that seems like very futuristic technology to me.
Now, guys, some of this was filmed in Italy.
I just saw that. I looked it up too. It's it was filmed in the Italian Dolomites region, which is Italian Dolomite is fuel definitely for a sketch.
Italian Dolomite is my name.
There you go.
Yeah, we were just talking about Eddie Murphy the other day, and here we are. We've already got Dolomite in there.
And it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, so we have to be really careful about blowing it up.
Sure. As long as they're careful, it's fine.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Be careful.
I mean, they were probably going to be fracking it, and there's probably stuff in there that they could use, so... Where do you rank...
I'll say, if anyone has to convince me that they need to blow up a planet, I kind of... Or, not a planet, a mountain. I kind of want it to be Ron Howard. Like, I feel like Ron Howard would be like, no, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. We're going to have a lot of fun. You know, like, he would have the right energy where I'd be like, he sounds like he's going to do it okay. You know?
Well, and plus, it's Ron Howard, so he's, like, trustworthy. It's like Opie and Richie and Arrested Development. How could you not trust Ron Howard? Yeah. So,
if he accidentally blows up your heritage site, he'll be very apologetic and kind about it, and he'll be like, "Oh, he was trying his best."
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to think of who the evil opposite of Ron Howard. What director would you be like? Oh, there's no way he should be allowed to blow up a mountain. Like Zack Snyder or
or
well, I'm tempted to say Clint Howard. He doesn't direct much really, but if like Clint Howard wanted to blow up a mountain, everybody would be like, "Oh God, no."
Is this like Alden Ehrenreich? Oh my gosh, we got the Ron Howard brother to direct the movie. Now he wants to blow up this mountain.
Can you imagine if Lucasfilm was like, hey guys, it didn't work out with Lord and Miller. We got Howard though. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, Ron, that's awesome. They're like, it's Clint. We got Clint.
Right, yeah.
Or we got Howard to direct this. And like, that's fantastic. Ron Howard, they're like, no. And then all of a sudden you hear, wah, 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 wah,
nice.
wah, 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 wah. And then he comes in, guitar strapped over his shoulder, waddling in, 3 feet tall. It's Howard the Duck, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Would
First
they,
AD,
in that
Jeffrey
case,
Jones.
would they just use the same? Is this going to be like same Howard the Duck from the movie that we recognize, or is it going to be updated?
No, it's the same one.
Yeah, you got to go with the same one. If it's coming from Lucasfilm,
I was imagining this was the real Howard the Duck.
Oh yeah. Well, that's how good the animatronics are. You just sit there and you're like, that was the real Howard the Duck directly on, obviously, but no, it's Neil Scanlon created this really complicated outfit.
Guys,
what a fun press tour that would be.
Oh yeah,
guys, an animatronic directing a movie makes no sense. I'm talking about the real duck. He flew here he was blasted here from another planet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
he's a funky little feather-bearing waterfowl.
Yeah. This is the real thing, you guys. Let's be serious about this. The real Howard the Duck. Yeah.
Speaking
Which was crazy because his background is in music, not movies.
Well, he's a crossover. He's good at just about anything. Anything he
I'm
sets
just
his mind
saying
to, he can do.
I'm just saying the pushback's not going to be as a duck. Is that this is a music guy, and you're gonna be like, musicians have directed movies before.
Yeah.
David Byrne made a movie. It was great.
Eddie Murphy's a musician.
There you go.
His girl wants to party all the time. Party all the time. Party all the time.
I mean, who does that song more apply to, if not Beverly Switzler,
Right.
Leah Thompson's character from Howard the Duck?
She's a little bit responsible though, isn't she? She doesn't just want to party all the time. She
likes to party.
She does. She likes to.
Yeah.
But I think she's also taking care of business. Not that it's a different movie altogether. I don't think Howard directed that one, but
also that song I believe says that his girl wants to party all the time. Doesn't actually confirm that she acts on it.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, hell, we all want to party all the time.
I want to party all the time. I can't do it.
No.
I can't do it. I don't have the energy. Nor the opportunities.
Got supply problems of every kind. Union.
Absolutely.
So that resolves the end of the heist portion of the movie.
Solo is over.
So I was going to start cutting to the tearful graveside conversation we have.
I did have a question about blowing up the mountain real quick.
Yes.
Do we think that this is a very subtle jab at Paramount?
Ooh.
Maybe there was some back and forth with something about like, maybe the Indiana Jones franchise. We're doing an early Han Solo here. They're thinking about Harrison Ford projects. Are they like were they just taking out their frustrations on Paramount via special effects?
What if this is how Indy 5 opens?
There you go.
They're on Vandor. Is that where we are right now?
Vandor,
which definitely sounds like a 70s kind of department store, but it's okay.
Close the Vandor.
The Vandor is
has any movie studio ever done that? Done like did a thing where is it Columbia who is the lady holding the torch? Like did a thing where she got somehow humiliated, and then you could have like the Universal planet blowing up. I guess no director wants to do this because they'd never work in that town again.
A lot of lions die in Lion King.
Oh, there you go.
That's true.
Yeah, and I think I've seen people make fun of the MGM lion and things. The
MGM one is.
People been spoofing on that for a while.
Yeah. Tom and Jerry,
Mary Tyler Moore.
Yeah,
I seen that GIF where it looks like it's going to be the Universal logo, and instead it says "F you." You ever see that GIF?
It sounds a little racy for me.
And then it's just like, and you're like, oh, that's not really the same as what we're talking about. But I'm just saying, I've seen it.
It exists.
Hats off. R.I.P. to Mr. GIF.
Oh, yeah.
Passed away.
This is a timely reference for us, not so timely for the listener.
Right. Are you saying this was recorded in 2022?
So we see the ship. It looks like the hauler came in for kind of a rough landing there. We see the ground is all scraped up and stuff. Nice little detail there. What are the graves? So we see Beckett in front of, I guess, what are the two graves for Val and for presumably Rio? What are the things that are in the ground? Can anyone?
I'm zooming in on it right now. They look like bows, like bow and arrow bows.
Oh, not like Bose speaker systems.
Not like speaker systems. No, or like pieces of the ship or something. Like, is it a piece? Is it a piece of the bridge that blew up?
Oh, maybe.
Could that be what it is?
Whatever it is, I think it's a nice sentiment. Like, they died trying to rob this train on this bridge. Let's make the graves out of that.
I'm assuming that because they're differentiated slightly. You probably put some kind of personal effect on there.
Yeah.
Right? Of each of theirs.
Yeah. He buried his Valacord.
Right. He's like, now I don't have to pretend to play this.
Yeah.
He should have put Rio's fake head on top of the.
Oh, there you go.
Top of Rio's grave. That's how you.
Or they could have Weekend at Bernie's, just brought the costume around still and be like, yeah, Rio's still, he's doing fine.
Back there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, they had Rio's body, right? They had Rio's body, but they don't have Val's.
Yeah.
Right.
They could have swooped down and gotten vows. We didn't.
I
see
don't think they swooped.
That pit is bottomless.
No
don't
body
forget.
to find.
They'll never catch up with it. It's no matter how.
So hypothetically, if the pit is bottomless, she could have jumped and is still just fallen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, still falling now?
Still falling now.
Mm-hmm. Even though it was a long time ago, she's still falling.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So so they're in this rocky, icy world, and yet so digging those graves could not have been that grave. Probably didn't very much for. But how long do you think it took Chewbacca to do it?
Too long. This is a great point. This is the first thing I don't buy.
You think Chewie did it?
What do you think? One of the humans
muscle.
are gonna?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chewie did it. 2 scoops. It was easy. He did it. He like dug the grave with one hand, and it was ready. They plopped Rio in. I buy it again.
Do you think when Chewie was doing that, he was worried they were gonna he was digging his own grave?
Oh
no!
They're like, hey, you know what? Chewie, dig 3, just in case, you know.
Now I think that gives Beckett some closure, though. If he's digging it himself, he's like, "I'm doing this. This is me saying goodbye to you." You know. Although, what are you digging? Really, you're just digging a tiny little hole in the ground to stick the bow and arrow in, I guess.
Right.
It's kind of well, but one of them looks like it's like there's enough. Oh yeah, one of them is just the. It's kind of nah. I don't know if it's.
But
it's
the
tragic irony that he has to dig a bigger pit for like a guy he knew, and then the woman he loves, he just I'll just bury her for the keychain she gave me when we went to Ryza.
I'm looking at it right now. The one on the left has to be Rio, the one with all the rocks.
Yeah.
Because the other one, there's nothing there, and the snow is not disturbed. Like it's not like he just.
Yeah, it's just a memorial gesture.
Right. Like a stick with it looks like underwear or something on it, right? Like with something that she left around in the.
Maybe they didn't dig the hole for Rio. They just dumped a bunch of rocks on top of him and it flattened him out.
Oh yeah, they just had Chewie Matt push him down and
or Chewie possibly had already eaten him because remember he was hungry. Like he hadn't eaten in 3 days when they picked him up,
and plus all that sizzling Aldanian flesh.
So I think maybe Chewie ate him and it's just a pile of bones with some rocks on it.
That would have been a great cut scene. Is it Han coming back into the ship to get Rio's body, and it cuts to Chewie standing over him. I don't know, blood, his fur all red,
standing around talking about like, oh man, I never thought I'd lose Rio. He was such a part of the crew, and Chewie's like, huh?
Does anyone? Yeah.
Always getting him into trouble.
So
I can only think of 2 graveside scenes in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
This one and one other one.
The Lars.
There's the Lars and the Jawa pile, the burning Jawa piles.
Oh, well, that's true.
I was thinking more Shmi's. Shmi, they do the graveside thing for Shmi. The Jawas, there's a couple. They burn a couple of bodies throughout.
They burn Darth Vader. They burn the Jawas in a mass grave.
Yeah.
Do you think there are any guys? Listen, we're really getting into it now. Do you think there are any big cemeteries in Star Wars? We always see these one-off things.
I'm assuming there's probably like a mausoleum planet somewhere, right?
Sure.
Where the whole thing you can just go visit and like you look it up and it's like, oh, you're depending on where they are, you go to take a shuttle to a different area and the whole planet is just one big
Cemeteria.
There you go.
Yeah.
But spelled weird, like SYM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear they had to put
definitely like a Star Wars Undertaker that's name is like Marl Bones or something.
Yeah. They had to put a force field around the crypt planet.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just looking on the Wikipedia page for burial. There's no cemetery page, but there's a burial page. They also call the leftover remnants of Alderaan the graveyard.
Oh.
Which is
dark. That's pretty metal.
Yeah. There's also, if you Google Star Wars cemetery, there are, if you want to do a Star Wars themed funeral, there are plans that you can follow.
There you go.
So.
Wait, so you'd be buried on the cemetery planet? Is that the?
I think it's just like if you die in real life and you want to have a Star Wars funeral, here are some fun ways you can.
I want to be dressed up like a Jawa, and I want a C-3PO to just carry my body out and then throw it onto a burning pile of other people.
Like, if you can get him, Anthony Daniels. If not, a cosplayer would be fine. Like, depending on.
I would rather, honestly, I'd rather a strong and capable cosplayer.
Oh yeah.
Than Anthony Daniels.
Than like 70
I want it
plus.
done right.
Yeah.
This is my funeral. I want it done right.
I was going to go the other way and say an R2D2 shaped coffin, and you have all your pallbearers dressed up as Jawas carrying you into the.
I like
into the
that.
grave. Yeah,
I thought you were going to say an R2D2 shaped coffin, and then when somebody nods, you get your corpse gets shot out of his head into the ocean.
I was going to say an R2D2 shaped coffin, and then when you push a button, the rockets jump out of the side and it shoots up.
And it flies off. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, I'm into all of this. We'll discuss some options. Well, going back to Beckett for a second. Oh, going back to Chewbacca for a second. Sorry. Chewbacca does the reaching for his wallet when somebody offers to pay kind of a thing. When Beckett punches Han, Chewie's like, oh, like starts for a second. He's not really going to interfere. He's just like, whoa, hey.
Yeah.
Which is fun to watch that because he's like, I'm not sure he's 100% sure what side he's on right now. It's like,
yeah.
I just met all these people. You know.
Yeah.
He certainly has a way with people. This is where Han gets the idea to get punched by the Bespin guard in Cloud City. He
of course.
He's like, I'll do that same trick I did with Beckett back on Vandor.
Vandor.
How often do you think Han thinks about Vandor?
Maybe every time somebody's talking about Darth Vader, he's like, wasn't that planet that I blew up somebody's girlfriend on? Oh, no, wait.
I think he probably, because he got his gun while he was on Vandor, so that was probably, he probably talks about that a lot. Or maybe he doesn't even remember the name. He's just like, yeah, I got it on some mission. I don't remember. He doesn't remember any of this stuff, which is so like, oh, it's so important to him. And it's such a, you know,
and then
he's like, yeah, I shot some guy back on some planet. I took the gun from him.
He loses his gun the second he meets Darth Vader. The first thing Darth Vader does is take that gun back.
Yeah.
How does he get his gun back?
Yeah, wait a minute.
That's a great question.
Maybe no prize answer. Lando gets it back from and then brings it with him, but he doesn't seem like he has anything with him when he leaves. But maybe I think in the comic they show Lando going back to Cloud City after the events of Empire Strikes Back. So maybe
I think there's probably a comic book like the one where we find out about C-3PO's red arm. There's probably one about like going back to Cloud City and being like, "Is there a gun here?"
Yeah, it's a story for another time.
You're not that far off.
It's talking to the Ugnaughts, figuring it out. Like,
where would it be? No, the Ugnaughts were like, oink, oink, oink. They don't know where it is. And then and they're like, well, what about in the dining room? And it's probably just right there next to the plate. Like, Darth Vader doesn't need a gun. It's probably just right there next to the table setting, you know?
Or maybe it's still set up exactly. That would be like a historical site. Like, this is exactly still set up how it was when they had their famous brunch.
It's like going to the room. It's like going to the room where Abraham Lincoln died.
Totally.
And they just leave it exactly the right way.
I think it's history for us as fans of the movie. I think in world it was just going to be any other brunch. You know? Yeah. I don't think that was a special day.
Like the next day they had to clear it out for like a wedding rehearsal or something. You know, rehearsal dinner.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's like, this is the room where Darth Vader took Han Solo's gun.
Yeah,
and then sat down for a little talk.
Well, way later they might go retroactively. There's like one person walking around Bespin with like the little flag on a stick and showing people around like, oh, if you notice, this is the all the other people are just they're trying to work and stuff. They're like, what's going on here?
Han Solo, the inspiration for the video game Spice Dumper.
So literally the tour group is coming through right after they leave the room. So like right after they leave the carbon freezing chamber, that's when the tour guides come in and they go, this is the very room where Han Solo was put in carbonite.
Yeah, Star Tours.
Yeah,
there you go, Star Tours.
But it smells sulfury. I bet the carbon freezing room smells sulfury.
I thought you said sultry.
I heard sultry too.
Yeah,
I heard sultry.
But it smells sultry.
That's 3 sultries. It smells sultry in here.
Somebody carbon freezing or
You're just happy to see me.
Beckett, while we're talking about Beckett, you do have this twist, we'll call it a twist, of him, when he punches Han, you think like, oh, he's sad that Han Solo's what he perceives as Han Solo's ineptitude or inability to listen.
Coward. Yeah,
cowardice has led to the death of his girlfriend and his favorite little monkey man. But he's not. Mm-hmm. He doesn't. He punches him and he's like, "You idiot! Now we owe money to the Crimson Dawn." Like it's telling about the true nature of Mr. Tobias Beckett.
Yeah, what does he say? Now that we owe them 100 G's of refined coaxium?
Keys, I think. Kilograms?
Keys? Huh.
It's just some wacky Star Wars word, guys.
Yeah.
We're not meant to know.
It's drug slang. He's a criminal, so he's that's what he talks in.
Right.
Criminal underworld, criminal slang.
But I mean, that could go. But to me, it sounded like he said "G's," and that could also be applied for criminal underworld slang. So I didn't know if.
Now I looked up the script. It says now we owe them 100 keys of refined coaxium.
Yeah. All right. Asked and answered. I can see.
There you
go. I'm not sure I like that though.
Keys.
Keys.
I mean, I guess we've heard meters in Star Wars.
In the very first Star Wars, yeah. So canonically metric. So keys.
Yeah.
Do you think they have locks in Star Wars?
like a door lock?
Yeah, or like
Scottish
locks,
lakes,
or like the smoked fish.
No, smoked fish.
I think
they do. Luke mentions that he blasted the lock. Leia tries to lock the door in the Death Star. And
okay, do you like that? Do you like that?
Yes.
Find the locks.
So you don't like the key. You don't like that keys are a word, but you like that locks are a word because you like if locks mean the same thing. You don't like that keys can be a different thing.
But keys is also short for kilograms, referring to like cocaine.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like about it. It's like referring to. I don't. It's one of those Earth terms like boyfriend. Just sounds weird to me in Star Wars.
Is keys when it's referring to kilograms spelled like door key? Keys?
I believe so. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make some kind of reference to keys on Van Nuys, but I haven't lived here long enough, and I can't. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not able to make that reference, but hopefully somebody out there.
Keys on Van door.
Oh, there you go. Keys on the. I left the key in the van door. That's why I was locked out.
100
So
keys.
are you thinking when he says that keys of coaxium, you're thinking that's short for kilograms?
That's what everyone else is saying.
That's the popular vote has it. At least 50% of the panel thinks it's kilograms.
Patrick, do you concur? You think that?
I think it's gotta be. And I do agree that I wish they had used a different word.
Look up Star Wars kilograms.
Now, should this have been like 50 glork zaps of coaxium? Like, should they have just gone up with a sci-fi
That's way
word?
too much.
I would love it so much if they introduced the word glork zap into this. Okay, now I'll say this. There is a Wikipedia page for kilograms, and it appears in a lot of stuff they use the word kilograms.
Huh.
Like books and stuff? Or
yeah.
I can't think of them saying it on screen ever.
It's the part where Yoda says, "Judge me by my size, do you? I'm 20 kilograms."
Right.
It says the B1 series battle droid weighed 65 kilograms. I don't know where that's from. But then it's in like Aftermath, it's in Bloodline, it's in Catalyst, the Rogue One novelization, Last Shot, New Dawn, it's in a bunch of stuff.
They also have inches in Star Wars, don't they?
Do they?
Do they?
Look it up.
I know they have minches.
Yeah. And
I don't know if they do.
I'm trying to think of any other examples of.
Meters are also brought up in regard to womp rats. So there's multiple meters in the movies.
Now
that's what I was talking about.
It appears as though inch is also in Star Wars because it says it's mentioned in Thrawn Alliance and Battlefront 2 and the Star Wars Clone Wars episode The Deserter.
It is called imperial measurement, so it does make sense that it would be in the.
There you go.
Inches.
So do you think that's an alliance imperial difference? Is that they want to stick to using feet and
Also, there should be a character in Star Wars named Inches.
Sure.
Really? It's
like
That's a nickname, I
Inches
think.
Merblack, who's like a weird, like some kind of almost like Rio, but a little bit like because he was like a short guy.
Like
so that's like,
if Babu Frick had been called Inches, we would all be on board with it. Like, Inches, get in here. And the guy comes in and is like, hey, here you go.
yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, if you had to show people what's this character's name, Babu Frick or Inches, what did you say? It doesn't matter. Inches Magoo. Which one?
Does anyone? I think I know the answer to this, but does anyone in Star Wars ever refer to something as like a buttload of, like, we got a buttload of coaxium?
We did. Han said butt earlier. I think that was the first butt in the Star Wars, because he was talking about Rio. When you see Rio pull up his pants, he's like, yeah, a couple of hands came out of your coat and started pulling up your, what does he say? Pulled up your pants, covered your butt or something like that, or your butt sticking out. He said something about his butt.
First butt in Star Wars?
I think that's the first butt in at least in on screen, like theatrical Star Wars. Our first theatrical butt.
A lot of huts, not enough butts.
That's what I say about Star Wars all the time.
More huts than butts. That's a good t-shirt.
Too many huts, not enough butts.
No butt jokes from Jar Jar.
I think that was like a tagline for that sex comedy that we were talking about. Han Solo.
Jar Jar Butts would be a good t-shirt also.
Jar Jar Butts. That's
that sounds like a smoking thing though. Like he should be telling kids hey kids, don't smoke it. Like.
Yeah.
Or the Mad Magazine version also with Jar Jar Butts.
What was
the Garbage Pail Kid?
Jar Jar. I don't have my Mad.
I think it was just 1-to-1. They just put Jar Jar Binks in Mad Magazine.
I don't know.
There is no improving on this. It's perfect.
Well, do we have anything else from Under 40?
I did. Well, I had a question about with the personal items on the grave. I was wondering what I'm assuming somebody would put a hat probably on my grave, right? Or like maybe a tie if I do always travel with extra hats, so you could have a spare if you went through my luggage.
Would you be mad if they did something that like had nothing to do, like, oh, let's put a jump rope on his grave because, and you're like, what?
I in a sense I do like that because it's like I like the mystery, of like why was that there?
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I was trying to. I don't know if anybody else would know. Is there anything that you would want somebody to put on your grave?
On your grave, not in your grave, as like
no, not in it with you, because that ties you to the physical world and you become a zombie. Yeah. But
I think I would want Rio Durant's fake head on my grave. I'm just going to take ownership. If Rio's not using it, I'm going to take ownership of it.
To see what the will says.
And I would want this. I would want this in my grave because I would want to have exploded, so there is no remains for me. So this would just be the thing they put.
You're getting
instead.
Launched with the R2 thing, but
yeah. I would want a T-shirt, and it's Jabba, but it's from behind. He's kind of looking back at the camera, and it just says "Hut Butt."
Oh, it's the copper tone. He's got a copper tone thing going on. With Salacious is pulling down the little.
Oh, wow.
What's this Hut Butt?
Hut Butt.
I do also want to say I did find there is one instance in Mad Magazine where they just call him Jar Jar Binks, and then there's one where it's Kim Jong Il and it says Jong Jong Binks. Those are the two Mad Magazine Jar Jar.
Oh my god,
that's the most like of its era.
The peak of comedy right there.
Yeah.
They have no respect for anything over there.
The usual gang of idiots, huh?
Yeah, no kidding.
It should have been Jar Jar Blacks.
Oh, that's a different guy on a different job, and he's actually he's like a badass.
Yeah.
Speaking of badass, thanks you guys for providing excellent entertainment all this week. You've been wonderful. Glad to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Is there anything you felt was left unsaid from this part of anything that happened in Solo before this, or anything you want us to look out for coming up in the future?
How do you feel about Lando?
I mean, you want to leave on a hot take?
I
don't love the Lando in this movie. I think he's the one who's doing the most of a impression throughout the entire movie, and I don't like it. That's my take. I wish he was not trying to just do Billy D. Williams. I wish he was like doing his own thing a little bit, because I think it feels a little out of place in this movie. And I know send all the hate mail to @Patrick Cotnoir on Twitter, guys, and I can't wait to see it.
I like it. I think it's a fun time. I think it's what I like about this movie in some ways is I always have a fondness for when there's a movie where it feels like there's not a lot of, I don't feel like, I was not in favor of anyone other than Harrison Ford ever playing Han Solo. Like, I didn't like the idea of it. And I think this movie's a romp, but it also feels like it has a little bit of gravitas. I think it's well made. I think, especially given the fact that this was a troubled production, I don't think it feels like a messy film. I think it feels like it came out pretty good. And it's also one of those Star Wars films where it feels like not a lot's writing on it in a good way, that it's just like enjoying it as a straightforward kind of caper movie with some high stakes here and there.
And that's why I wish they didn't bail on these Star Wars stories, because the more that they make, the less pressure there is on each one to be the most important thing in the entire world. And I feel like this movie was the first one of that, where it's like, we could have just had a bunch of fun movies like this that didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But then they got cold feet, and now you get the Disney Plus stuff, which is not, it's not bad, but it's definitely, I don't know, it's a different scale.
I forgot who it was at the time that said that this felt like a bonkers 90s EU book, and in a good way, and like they're like, that's why I love it, because it just feels like a weird like Star Wars book that you would have read. And I think that they need to lean into that vibe more, and then they're doing something. But
I think they made I think the biggest mistake that they made was bailing on the idea that every Christmas we get a Star Wars movie, because I think that rhythm was really satisfying, and it was working. Like this was the first movie that didn't lean into that, and they were just like, hey, do you want to see a Star Wars movie like 5 months after the last one? And people were like, nah, it's a little too soon. But if they ever get back on that rhythm, of course, society changed a lot since then. So maybe maybe we'll never exactly be back in that same place as far as theatrical movies go. But I still like the idea of going to a theater every Christmas to see a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, we should work out some kind of like a Christmas Carol kind of a thing with like the Ghost of Star Wars Past and the Ghost of Star Wars Present, the Ghost of Star Wars Future.
All Force Ghosts.
Yeah, right. Force Ghost of Star Wars Future. Well, speaking of Star Wars Future, we will be back next week with more episodes. In the meantime, if you can't deal with being without us for that long, don't forget we have a Patreon, StarWarsMinute.com/Patreon. We'll get you there. And we have our weekend shows. You can hear us all day, every day. Not all day, every day, but you know what I mean. And
on the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, if you timed it right, you could listen to us all day, every day for like, I don't know, maybe like a week or something.
What a place to bury that. Such an ambitious announcement. You can now see us all day, every day. It never stops.
I'm just going to live stream.
For longer than a week, though. If you listen to every single thing you guys have put out back to back, it would be a lot longer than that.
It'd be a lot.
It would be a lot. I think we've got 1,300 episodes or something like that. So, and if we average, half hour, what's 650 episodes, 650 hours. How many days is that?
Let's see, 1,300 times 30 divided by 60 divided by 24. 27 days.
27 days. Look at that.
Later. 27 days later.
There you go.
Wow.
You start, you just nonstop, 24/7, and then by the end, you're a zombie or something.
Yeah.
We guarantee by the end, you will know a lot more about Star Wars.
Right.
And if you get to the end and you haven't learned anything, our apologies.
Yeah.
That's on you.
Yeah. You knew too much about Star Wars going in.
Well, then if you plan on doing that, you better start now, because we'll be back on Monday with a brand new Star Wars Minute.
Star Wars Minute.